The couple's partnership with Netflix initially promised to be a groundbreaking success. When Harry and Meghan premiered in December 2022, it captured the attention of the world. It wasn't just the couple's decision to step away from their royal duties that sparked curiosity. It was the raw, unfiltered portrayal of their personal lives. The public had heard bits and pieces of their story before, but this series gave them an unprecedented look into their world. For the first time, Harry and Meghan shared their entire journey, revealing the emotional weight behind their decision to leave the royal family, the family tensions they'd kept private, and the behind-the-scenes realities that no one had seen before. The series broke new ground, showing the world a side of them they had never shown before. The Sussexes were no longer just royal figures. They were real people, vulnerable and relatable, facing struggles, fears, and challenges. Response was overwhelming. The numbers were staggering. In its first week alone, Harry and Meghan garnered an incredible 81.6 million viewing hours, making it Netflix's biggest documentary debut at the time. People weren't just tuning in because of their royal status. They were captivated by the unfiltered, intimate look they were offering into their lives. It wasn't just a story. It was an exclusive glimpse into the lives of two people who were no longer confined by royal titles. It was an intimate, personal narrative that pulled back the curtain on their world, and the numbers reflected the immense power of that revelation. But after that initial wave of curiosity, something changed. The momentum from their groundbreaking debut started to wane. The magic of their personal story began to lose its luster. As the couple shifted their focus to other projects, the audience they had captured seemed to move on. The initial wave of interest had faded, and the new ventures didn't have the same emotional pull. One such venture was Live to Lead, a documentary series designed around interviews with global leaders like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Gloria Steinem. The series was intended to inspire and educate through conversations with some of the most iconic figures in the world. Yet, despite its noble intentions, it failed to capture the same level of attention. It didn't make a dent in Netflix's top 10 in any country, and the engagement reports showed a significant drop in viewership. The issue wasn't with the series itself, it was the shift in focus. Viewers had initially tuned in to hear Harry and Meghan's personal story, the drama and tension of their departure from the royal family. The audiences were invested in their journey, in their struggles, and in their emotional stakes. But the shift to leadership lessons, no matter how meaningful the guests or their insights, couldn't recreate that same connection. People were no longer as interested in hearing about leadership. What had drawn them in was the personal, the real. Similarly, Heart of Invictus, a series that followed injured veterans competing in the Invictus Games, didn't quite hit the mark either. While it was clear that Harry had a deep passion for the event and the athletes involved, the series never found its rhythm. The focus of the series seemed unclear. Was it about the athletes' stories, or was it about Harry's role behind the scenes? That lack of clarity left viewers unsure of where the series was heading and made it difficult for the show to build a strong connection with its audience. It felt as though the show couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Was it a documentary about the athletes? A deep dive into Harry's involvement? The confusion undermined its ability to stand out in the crowded world of streaming content. After its release window, Heart of Invictus seemed to fade into obscurity, disappearing from Netflix's engagement reports and further cementing its struggle to maintain viewership. And then came Pearl, Meghan's animated series, which had been eagerly anticipated as a new creative venture for the couple. The show was meant to offer a different side to Meghan's creative vision, one that went beyond the personal drama. Pearl was meant to showcase her creativity and originality, a project not tied to their royal past, but an attempt to branch out and build something new. Unfortunately, Netflix canceled Pearl midway through its production in 2022. The cancellation of Pearl was a significant blow, not just for Meghan, but for the couple's broader creative ambitions. This was a project that had been intended to represent their ability to create beyond the confines of their personal lives. It was an opportunity to show the world that they weren't just relying on their royal history to generate interest. Pearl was supposed to demonstrate creative depth, originality, and a new direction. However, its loss highlighted the challenges Harry and Meghan faced in maintaining momentum and living up to the enormous expectations placed upon them. It underscored the difficulty they were having in crafting new, engaging content that resonated with their audience in the same way their initial story had. While the couple's content creation efforts showed promise, Pearl's cancellation and the lackluster reception of their subsequent projects revealed the struggle to sustain relevance in a fast-moving media landscape. Every new venture seemed to lack the spark that had made Harry and Meghan such a phenomenon, leaving many to question whether their creative direction was truly sustainable. What had initially appeared to be an exciting creative journey, filled with groundbreaking content, was now at risk of falling into repetition and missed opportunities. Amidst the unraveling of these high-profile ventures, With Love, Meghan was launched in 2025, a lifestyle series that aimed to capture the essence of Meghan's personal brand, featuring celebrity guests like Mindy Kaling, Roy Choi, and other well-known figures from various walks of life. The series was meticulously produced, with a clear emphasis on style, sophistication, and modern lifestyle. Each episode was designed to showcase Meghan's personal interests, the cultural landscape she's a part of, and her approach to navigating life beyond the royal spotlight. Yet, despite its polished production and star-studded appearances, the series failed to make a significant impact in the way the couple had hoped. The numbers it generated, 5 million viewing hours and around 5.3 million views in the early part of 2025, might seem impressive at first glance. But when placed in context with Netflix's regular hits, the numbers tell a different story. With Love, Meghan ranked 389th in the first half of the year, far removed from the top slots where the real cultural moments are made. At that level, the show became just another offering, battling for attention in a saturated market. It didn't create enough buzz to break through the noise, nor did it spark the kind of viral conversation that sustains long-term relevance. It was a well-intentioned effort, but it didn't have the staying power needed to carve out a lasting place in the hearts and minds of viewers. Then came Polo, a docuseries produced by Harry, which focused on elite polo competitions. The series, which aimed to bring the exciting world of high-society polo to the forefront, attracted a modest 500,000 viewers by mid-2025. While this number might seem significant, it was a drop in the ocean compared to the 260 million global Netflix subscribers. The reality was clear. While the couple still garnered some interest, their content was no longer the must-watch entertainment it once was. The charm of their personal stories had faded, and the excitement surrounding their involvement in various projects had waned. Critics didn't mince words when reviewing Polo. Many described the series as lackluster, with one common criticism being its overwhelming focus on wealth and privilege. It seemed to some more like a showcase of the luxurious world of polo and the elite figures that participated in it, rather than a gripping exploration of the sport itself. The heavy emphasis on the affluence and status of the people involved left many viewers feeling disconnected. While the series attempted to offer a glimpse into a world of high stakes and social competition, it struggled to find an emotional connection with its audience. Audience ratings were low, and the show failed to generate significant traction beyond its initial release. It was yet another example of the couple's content failing to build a loyal, engaged following. Spotify's partnership with Harry and Meghan mirrored this troubling trend. In 2020, they signed a reported $20 million deal with the streaming giant, a deal that promised high expectations for their podcasting debut. Meghan's podcast, Archetypes, launched in August 2022, featuring high-profile guests like Serena Williams, Mariah Carey, and Paris Hilton, all of whom brought their own fame and charisma to the table. The show had all the right ingredients: a well-thought-out concept, professional production, and star-studded appearances. Yet, despite these strong components, the podcast failed to meet the expectations set by the platform's significant investment. By June 2023, Spotify had ended its partnership with Harry and Meghan, terminating the contract after just one season of Archetypes. The reason behind the split was simple: the content didn't live up to the investment. While the couple had no problem securing major deals, they struggled to maintain the consistency and quality necessary to keep their audience engaged. Despite the promise of fresh, high-profile content, the podcast failed to connect with listeners in the long run. Spotify executives later hinted that, while the couple's names and star power were enough to secure a big deal, they struggled to deliver compelling, consistently engaging content over time. The interest was there initially, but once the novelty wore off, the listeners stopped returning. Across every platform, this same cycle seemed to repeat. The couple's early projects, driven by massive curiosity and the allure of their personal lives, generated immediate attention and success. But as time went on, that interest didn't transform into lasting engagement. The story of their royal exit, the drama, the scandal, the tension once those details had been shared, there was little left to capture the loyalty of their audience. The personal drama had been aired, and with it, the reason many people tuned in had been exhausted. In the eyes of the streaming giants, this shift was more than just a natural ebb and flow. It pointed to something more significant. The couple was no longer the center of a cultural moment. Once the royal drama had been told, the audience moved on, and there was little in the way of compelling new content to bring them back. It wasn't that Harry and Meghan were bad people, or that their projects lacked value. It was simply that they no longer had the same magnetic pull. Their stories, once riveting and filled with controversy, had lost their edge. Their royal status, once a defining feature of their public image, no longer carried the same weight it had before. Streaming platforms and other content creators are in the business of building loyal, engaged audiences. And once that initial curiosity is satisfied, the challenge becomes keeping people interested in what comes next. For Harry and Meghan, that next chapter proved elusive. They struggled to build upon the success of their initial projects, leaving them with fewer opportunities to create new content that would resonate as deeply with their audience. In many ways, the couple's downfall wasn't about a lack of talent or vision. It was about timing and the fleeting nature of public fascination. The world watched eagerly when Harry and Meghan made their dramatic exit from royal life. They were the subject of endless media scrutiny, a story that was unique and captivating. But in the world of entertainment and streaming, the demand for fresh content never stops. Once the royal drama had been exhausted, the couple was left scrambling to find new ways to capture public interest, and that's where they stumbled. Their projects became repetitive, and the public's interest waned. This cycle of initial success followed by a sharp decline in engagement became a pattern. And in the streaming world, where the audience's attention span is fleeting and competition is fierce, even a brief moment in the spotlight can quickly fade. It wasn't just that their content didn't resonate, it was that the world had moved on, and they were still trying to live in a past moment of cultural relevance. In reality, Harry and Meghan are far from being in dire financial straits, but there's no denying the pressure mounting on them. The narrative of the couple being $100 million in debt is an outright fabrication. While they're not destitute, their income has significantly dropped in recent years, while their high-profile lifestyle remains just as expensive. This widening gap between their decreasing revenue and soaring costs creates an undeniable tension, one that is difficult to overlook. They aren't broke, far from it, but they are certainly living beyond their means. As their primary income sources continue to dry up, the couple is likely tapping into their savings to maintain the same lavish lifestyle they've become accustomed to. Back in 2020, when they signed their landmark deals with Netflix and Spotify, Their combined value was estimated at around $120 million. These deals, particularly with two of the most powerful platforms in the world, created the illusion of endless wealth. For a time, it appeared as though money would never be an issue for Harry and Meghan. Their public persona had captured global attention, and their ventures seemed poised to offer financial security for years to come. However, the reality is that these contracts were always time-limited. The Spotify deal ended in 2023, and Netflix is expected to follow suit in 2026. With no new long-term deals in place, the reliable income streams they once enjoyed are fading, leaving them exposed in an increasingly unpredictable entertainment industry. Harry's memoir Spare, released in 2023, provided another major financial windfall. The book sold 1.4 million copies on its first day, a staggering success. But the book's success was largely driven by the public's insatiable curiosity about the dramatic aspects of Harry's life, particularly his departure from the royal family. Memoirs, by nature, tend to have a shelf life. Once the most dramatic moments are told, interest wanes. A second memoir, though certainly possible, is unlikely to achieve the same level of attention or sales. The most gripping elements of Harry's story have already been shared, and it's tough to keep the same level of intrigue when the most show. Seeking revelations have been exposed. This presents a major challenge for the couple, who now must look to new income sources to sustain their lifestyle. This will undoubtedly require a strategic shift in their public image and long-term plans. Meanwhile, their living expenses remain nothing short of astronomical. The $14.65 million Montecito estate is stunning, but it comes with its own financial demands. The annual cost of maintaining the property is close to $1 million. Beyond that, the couple's security costs, which are essential given their global visibility, are estimated to be between $2 million and $4 million per year. These expenses, combined with the upkeep of an 18,000 square foot mansion and its sprawling grounds, place an immense strain on their finances. It's a reminder that, even for those with great wealth, the cost of maintaining a lavish lifestyle is far from easy. On top of their living expenses, they also face ongoing business and legal costs. Harry's ongoing legal battles with British media outlets, including lawsuits over privacy violations, and his appeal concerning the withdrawal of UK security funding, have added significant financial burdens. These legal proceedings, while crucial to their sense of justice, are expensive and time-consuming. They contribute to an already overwhelming pile of expenses, further tightening the financial pressure the couple faces. Despite all these challenges, it's important to note that they are not in financial ruin. They still own valuable assets, including their Montecito estate, which has appreciated in value since they purchased it. Additionally, their lifestyle brand has shown early promise, with products selling out quickly and strong consumer interest. However, building a profitable consumer brand is a long game. It takes time, substantial upfront investment, and a well-executed strategy. The couple may struggle to sustain the momentum needed to turn this early success into a consistent and profitable brand, without a stable income stream to support them. Their charitable foundation, Archewell, which was once seen as a significant avenue for both influence and financial sustainability, now finds itself in a position where it needs funding, rather than generating it. The foundation's recent restructuring and staff reductions indicate that its financial situation is not as stable as it once appeared. With fewer staff members and fewer resources to draw upon, Archewell's future remains uncertain. Recent reports suggest that the foundation is tightening its budget, focusing on fewer, more targeted projects instead of the grand initiatives it once planned. While speaking engagements could still bring in large fees, their polarizing public image has created a bottleneck for these opportunities. Many high-profile speaking events are tied to the speaker's ability to connect with a broad audience. However, Harry and Meghan's controversial status has made it more difficult for them to secure these types of engagements. Their image, now divided between supporters and critics, limits the demand for their appearances. They may still be able to secure some high-paying speaking gigs, but these will likely be fewer and further between as their cultural relevance continues to fade. Despite their wealth of assets and initial public interest, the reality is that Harry and Meghan find themselves at a crossroads. Their lifestyle, which was once supported by lucrative deals and a constant stream of media attention, now faces serious financial scrutiny. With their primary income sources dwindling and new opportunities proving harder to come by, the couple is in a precarious financial position. They are not in dire financial straits, but the pressure is undeniable. How they navigate these financial challenges in the coming years will determine whether they can sustain the lavish lifestyle they've built, or whether they will have to make significant changes in order to stay afloat. Their situation is not about being broke, it's about living beyond their means, about the tension between their high-profile public lives and the shrinking financial resources that once supported them. If they cannot find new, reliable sources of income or adjust their lifestyle to match their current financial reality, they may find themselves in a far more precarious position than they are willing to admit. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. Harry and Meghan's financial landscape has changed dramatically since their initial rise to fame, and it will require a complete rethinking of strategy to overcome the challenges they now face. The rumor that Harry and Meghan are $100 million in debt is a complete fabrication, nothing more than a misunderstanding of how entertainment deals work. The figure often cited isn't actual debt, it's the reported value of their Netflix content deal. That number includes the production costs, development budgets, and compensation tied to the projects they were involved in through their production company. In the world of entertainment, these large headline deal amounts rarely translate into cash that ends up in a personal bank account. Instead, they usually represent the total amount a company plans to spend over several years on producing content, paying crews, covering marketing expenses, and compensating talent. It's an industry norm, one that doesn't indicate personal debt or any financial shortfall. The truth is, when their Netflix deal ends in 2026, it won't mean they owe any money. The deal simply reaches its natural conclusion. Netflix, like many other streaming platforms, has been shifting away from long-term exclusive deals, choosing instead to fund projects on a case-by-case basis. This change is not just impacting Harry and Meghan, but many other creators across the entertainment industry. From Netflix's perspective, the deal served its purpose. It provided the company with a burst of attention and a lot of content that capitalized on the global curiosity surrounding the couple. Beyond that, there wasn't much incentive to continue the partnership once the initial content had been produced and released. This is the core of the misinformation that's being spread. People tend to leap to conclusions, particularly when terms like sentencing are thrown into the mix. Meghan Markle has not been criminally sentenced or convicted of any crime. There has been no trial, no judgment from a criminal court, and certainly no punishment handed down by a judge. Yet, the word sentencing continues to appear in headlines, creating an emotional reaction from the public. It taps into the instinctual human need to see justice done, particularly when it's tied to a well-known public figure. These legal terms are often used because they stir up strong emotions, leading people to believe in a scandal that doesn't exist. The confusion surrounding their legal battles has further fueled this narrative. Harry has been involved in several ongoing civil court cases, including a significant settlement with a media company over unlawful information gathering in early 2025. While this settlement was a major victory for Harry, the constant media coverage of court cases and lawsuits creates an atmosphere of suspicion. The repeated mentions of courts, legal terms, and lawsuits make it easy for online narratives to take on a life of their own, distorting the truth and amplifying false perceptions. The real issue here isn't about criminal sentencing or debt. It's about the reputational damage that Harry and Meghan have endured over the years. It's about the shrinking opportunities they face as a result of public perception. The refusal of public relations firms to work with them, the streaming platforms that have declined to renew their deals, and the brands that are distancing themselves. All of these are market-driven decisions. These decisions come with real consequences for their income and their influence. However, they are not the result of criminal penalties. Instead, they reflect a professional and social judgment that can be reversed with the right strategy and a shift in public perception. As of now, Harry and Meghan's future is still up in the air. The next 6 to 12 months will be critical in determining whether they can make a successful comeback. Their financial sustainability is at risk, and without a major new income stream, they will have to make difficult decisions. This might mean scaling back their lifestyle, selling off assets, or taking on projects that they've previously avoided. Their financial future isn't set in stone, and their relationship with the royal family remains tenuous. How they navigate these challenges will have a direct impact on their professional prospects and their children's futures. Ultimately, it's not about the $100 million in debt that's been sensationalized in the media. It's about the couple's decision to bet everything on a strategy that hasn't yet worked. Now, they face the consequences of that gamble, and it's up to them to chart a new course forward. If they can adapt, adjust their expectations, and redefine their public persona, there's a chance for a recovery. But if they fail to change course, they risk fading into the background, their relevance diminishing over time. The journey ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear: Harry and Meghan are at a pivotal moment. The way they handle the financial and public challenges in the coming months will shape the rest of their story. They are no longer simply riding the wave of royal fame. They must now create a new narrative, one that will determine their future in the public eye. What happens next will depend on their ability to overcome these challenges, adapt to changing circumstances, and find a way to rebuild their influence, both personally and professionally. If they manage to do so, there's hope for a comeback. But if they don't, they could face a future of diminishing relevance and lost opportunities. The real question now isn't about the money. It's about whether they can regain control of their narrative and their future, or whether the storm will eventually wash them away.